There are endless ties between the Ravens and Chargers, as we know, whether it be past coaching staffs, personnel, the brothers, the Hardball Bowl. We know all of this that's coming up on Monday night. We also know that Lamar won his first MVP in his first season as a full starter. You got to go back to 2019, and that was also when his play caller was a guy by the name of Greg Roman. Of course, heavily known and remembered within the fan base for better or for worse. Lamar made some headlines, I guess probably more so within the fan base yesterday, when Jonas Schaefer of the Baltimore Banner asked him this question about how he looks back at his time with Giro. And of course, that video left just a second ago when I left on accident. So let me just pull it up in 1 second. And here is Lamar Jackson talking about his former offensive play caller, Greg Roman, who, as many of you know, is now exactly that for Jim and the Chargers.
How do you kind of look back at your time with Giro?
It was good. I mean, we had a lot of success. Won my first MVP with Giro system. We had a lot of great seasons. I believe it was just short. It was just short, that's all.
Everybody's thinking what we're thinking. It was a deafening pause, a long pause. Sarah was doing the count on her fingers. How many? 4?
I'd say 4.5. I almost made it to 5. My very scientific finger counting.
Okay. So Torrey Smith quote tweeted you and said something along the lines of, he's just processing, nothing to see here. Many others in the fan base thought that it was a conflicted kind of answer. 4 seconds is 4 seconds. It was a little awkward.
4.5.
It was definitely deafening. If silence can be deafening, that was an example of it. He did go on to say the following, as you heard. It was good. We had a lot of success. I won my first MVP with Giro's system. We had a lot of great seasons. Sarah, as you're watching that unfold, how silent was it?
Listen. Okay. When I watched that live, did not know it was coming. I felt awkward inside because I was like, oh, say something, Lamar, say something, because of the context of the conversation around Greg Roman and Lamar Jackson. Like, he obviously in Giro's system, as Lamar said, won an MVP. You can't hate that. Can't be upset about that. That's great. 2019 was such a ride until it wasn't, right? Just such a fantastic, beautiful ride until it wasn't. And so you have that context, and there's already people kind of speculating, like when Todd Monken first came here, it just seemed like Lamar was so happy with some of the changes. He was talking about how funny and loud Todd Monken is, talking about getting keys to the car, just being empowered. You know what I mean? And so like here's the thing with Lamar. I think he's cool with everybody. Like, I honestly don't think he's got like any bad blood with Greg Roman. I don't think he's got any, ill feelings towards him. Do I feel like he enjoys this offense that he has now under Todd Monken better? Absolutely. But because of how Greg Roman left, where he was let go and the fan base was just over him for a year or two before he was let go, with that context, you wanted to see a Lamar. Bobby, remember last week when they were asking him about, was it Geno Stone? Because Geno Stone, yeah, and Lamar's like, oh man, that's my guy. We came in together. We were this. That's my boy.
That was Deshaun Elliott.
Oh, it was Deshaun Elliott. My bad. Okay, just wrong safety. He's like, yeah, that was my boy, and he's like got this big smile, and he didn't like talk forever. He didn't say a ton. But it was the smile on his face. It was how, like, he jumped into the comment. Like, there was, like, body language, and his smile said so much more than him saying, oh, we came in together, and that's my guy. You know what I mean? Like, it was the body language. And so in this one, maybe Torrey Smith is right that he was processing, but he didn't need to process for some other people. He doesn't need, you know what I mean? He didn't need a process. So that's the point, is the processing is the point. And so when you're watching it live and you've never seen it before, you're just like, oh, please say something. For Giro's sake, say something, So it was an awkward long pause. And I think it said a lot. I think he's cool with Giro, but I think that he knew he outgrew that system and it was time to move on. And it's not like they were like the best buds ever, So The processing is the point, and that's why it was so awkward from in my point of view.
I tend to agree with you as well. And at the same time, I always like to acknowledge what they did accomplish together because it was pretty historic and they did take the NFL by storm. I know you acknowledge this as well. Of course. How could you not in 2019? I mean, Lamar set the world on fire. They set rushing records as a team. He did so individually, breaking the previous record held by Michael Vick for single season rushing yards by a quarterback. And of course, they were the top overall seed. And while they didn't get it done in January and the following year, it was disappointing as well against Buffalo. And clearly, to your point, Lamar had outgrown the system in which Greg was working under and working with. There were other parts to the story as well, like the lack of investment in free agency dollars at the wide receiver position and just not having a sophisticated enough, to use Steve Young's words, passing attack. And I think the hiring of Todd Monken unlocked all of that. And here we sit